All right, I think we're ready to go. Good morning, everybody. It is, what day is today? What day is today? Today is June 15th, 2018. That's what day today is. My name is Jeff Fritz, and welcome back to my live stream. I call it Fritz and Friends. So thank you, everybody, for joining. I see a couple folks. I see my friend Brent there in the chat room. Needs more Battleship Gray. I like the dark gray. I like that. Thanks for joining me here today. There's Tony. Hello, Tony. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Chusk. Hello. And is that Mikadu? Welcome. It's Friday, and that means it's time for F Sharp Friday. We're going to be dedicating today to working with F Sharp, learning a little bit more about this language that works great with .NET, has a functional approach, but is something that not a lot of us really know enough about, right? So we've been learning it the past few weeks. We did a tutorial, and I want to jump in and get my feet dirty here and just start building something simple so that I can get the basics and actually have something that works, that does a thing. So we'll have a little bit of fun with that. There's Isaac, yesterday's guest. Good morning, Isaac. Fubarius, yes, F Sharp Friday again. Hello. Please try out. I don't know what that is, and I have a very full schedule going through the middle of July. Did you figure out the difference between map and bind? No, did not go through that too much yet. Like I said, I want to get my hands dirty and actually feel what's going on there, not just looking at sample code. Good morning, Smab, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Kazakhstan, we have YM coming in from. Hello, hello. While folks are chiming in and saying hello there, I'm going to start up our background music. And today I'm going to go with Yellow from Music to Code By, from our friend Carl Franklin. That's a little bit loud. Let me tune that down just a little bit. So this is groovy music that is great to have in the background to help keep you focused. It's scientifically engineered at a specific rate so that it gets you focused, gets you in the groove, in the flow. And you can check it out at musictoflowby.com is the new app that you can download for your phone, or you can get it at mtcb.pwop.com. I started watching the train wreck that was yesterday's stream, so if anybody didn't see us yesterday, Isaac and I did a little bit of work together on the Core Wiki project that we've been working on here. That's an ASP.NET Core project written with C# that we were designing, we were adding application insights into, and we had a number of problems throughout the day. I took some time last night and I did a make good. I recorded about 10 to 15 minutes of video at the end of that, where I walk through and show here's the mistakes here's the issues that we ran into and we didn't know how to recover from. I took some time and even learned a little bit from Barry Dorans.
I don't know who you are.
I don't know who he is.
I don't know what you want.
Oh, I knew what he wanted.
If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money.
I don't.
But what I do have...
What do you have, Barry?
Are a very particular set of skills.
He does.
Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
It's been a very long career.
That make me a nightmare for people like you.
He is a nightmare for people like us.
If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it.
I don't think he has a daughter.
I will not look for you. I will not pursue you.
Oh,
but if you don't,
good.
I will look for you.
He will?
I will find you.
He will.
And I will kill you.
Say it ain't so. So that was my run-in with Barry yesterday, but he did help us find the issue that we had, and we worked through it and we were able to solve it. So I thought that was a little bit of fun there. Hey, Jürgen, good to see you. Yes, it's afternoon in Germany. I'm about 2 weeks? No, 10 days until I'll be in Germany. Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, if you take a look at the last 15 minutes of that video, you'll see where I corrected it. We had some JavaScript, some custom JavaScript that was added to our application that was disabling buttons, which ended up blocking the login capabilities. And then when we were deploying to Azure, we weren't properly packaging and deploying, since I was using a beta version of the .NET Core framework. It wasn't available on the server that we were deploying to, and we were deploying in a shared configuration. So that was the problems that we were having there. Okay, a little bit more tidying up that I want to do, a little bit of just tidying up. Welcome. I can announce, I'm allowed to announce, because that's kind of what I do. F#, for our friends who do F#, .NET Conf, there it is. .NET Conf is coming up September 12th through the 14th. I saw that, Smab. We can talk about that tomorrow. So September 12th and 14th is .NET Conf. We're going to have 2 days coming to you live from Microsoft Studios. September 12th and 13th, we'll have 8 hours on American Pacific time. Both days we have planned. We're going to have some great content, some great speakers. There's going to be a call for content posted to this page, .netconf.net. A little bit later today, we're looking for experts in the community to submit and to speak for an hour during the event. Now, I said it's through the 14th. We've got 2 days on the 12th and 13th, 8 hours each, coming to you from Channel 9 Studios. The third day, now MVPs, you may have heard me say this, but here comes the bit that we're going to throw in this. The third day, we're going to do 24-hour streaming, and I'm going to be hosting it, a good chunk of it. Starting at, I think it's 5 p.m. Pacific time on the 13th. We're going to go for 24 hours, and we're going to hand off presentation to MVPs, to community folks in each time zone, chasing the sun, and it'll be appropriate for your time zone, not at 2 in the morning because you're dialing in from Delhi, but at a time of the day that's appropriate for your time zone. And I'm going to encourage you, if you do want to submit and be part of that 24 hours, that you give your presentation in your local language. I don't want you to be committed to presenting in English. So if we have somebody in Germany who wants to give a presentation about something, and they get accepted in to present for .NET Conf, we'll let you give that presentation at 11 in the morning, 10 in the morning, Munich time, and you know what? Go ahead and give that presentation in German. I think that's a great opportunity for us to grow our .NET community and show that it's not just Americans and English speakers in North America broadcasting from the Pacific Northwest. We want to make sure that everybody's included, everybody has an opportunity, and you don't necessarily have to be a native English speaker to be a part of this event. So that's coming up. Look for the call for content to be posted here a little bit later today, but I want to make sure that folks here on my show hear about it first, and you know that it's coming. So check it out, .netconf.net. All right. Let's see what else. I was in a couple magazines this week, a couple German magazines. I've posted those links on Twitter. Hey, good morning, Maker Blaker. I think we're ready to dive in here and start looking at our code. I think it's about that time. All right. So here's what I'm thinking. Now, I don't want to get in. I don't want to get too messy. I don't want to. I don't want to take on too many capabilities all at once. We've learned just the basics of F# over the past day or so, the past show or two, and I want to start simple. So one of the things that I was looking at is for a goal project here that I'd like to do. I'd like to take some feedback that I've received over the past few shows, including my normal C# focused shows, and I want to work on the data collection for our for our GitHub ticker that we have at the top of the screen. Let's flip over to that view. So you see up at the top of the screen, we have this ticker that lists the folks that have contributed to some of our projects. That's nice, but it does a polling mechanism against GitHub, and it's actually checking once a minute to see if there's updates on some of these projects. Now, here's my design that I'd like to get to. If we look at one of these projects, and let's choose Core Wiki because that's the one we were working on yesterday. You can actually go into settings here, and you can set up a webhook that will post information. I'll key in my password. Right, that's my password? Yeah, that was my password. And what this will do, right, is it'll send information, it'll send payload, some payload information about here's what happened in the repository to some sort of an endpoint. So I can receive information like there was a commit, comments on a commit, right? Where is it? Issue comments. I'm looking for pull request merges. Let's see, I think, right, I want to look for and I want to find when code has changed in my project, right? So I can certainly pick up and see some of that information here, and I'm not seeing exactly what I want. Not commit comments, not deployments. No. I want to see a pull request. I want to see a push. I think that's it. But then when I create this webhook, I'll get notified at some URL endpoint. So what I'd like to do as a design here is I'd like to set up an Azure function that will receive this webhook, use F# to parse out that information, and then store it in a database, update the database, and publish some sort of a notification that our stock ticker can pick up, right? Maybe using SignalR services on Azure that will then refresh the ticker up at the top of the screen. What do you think? Does that sound right? It feels very Rube Goldbergian, right? We're going to have a commit go into GitHub. It's going to send a push over to an Azure function. The Azure function is going to parse that push, insert data into a database, and then send a notification that the user interface up top will refresh. Make sense? So what I want to do sounds great. Okay, so let's just document that's the design over here in Stream Tools. I will create an issue. And actually, this is more of a project, isn't it? Let's have it start here because I have a feeling it's going to end up in its own repository. So let's call this F#. Let's call it stock ticker push webhook refresh, we'll call it. All right. And let's see. Let's do this. We will write some code and connect GitHub webhooks to automate the refresh of the GitHub ticker. Let's call it GitHub widget, because there's been some suggestion and discussion around doing this with several different user IDs. Where'd I get the idea? So we've been working on that GitHub widget for a couple weeks on stream here, and I think I forget who it was. Was it Avandro on one of the Saturdays mentioned, hey, it'd be great if we just pulled that data from a database. Maybe we can write that data from with some of the things that we're doing on the F# stream. And I think this makes sense. I think, when you look at what we're doing here, it kind of fits together nicely. and parsing that data and writing a couple of functions to parse and drive, some additional features here feels like something we can do very easily and very nicely with F#. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know if, and of course we can get as complex as we'd like with that. All right. Okay, so steps here, right? So data flow is going to be a GitHub webhook. Okay. Azure function. Okay. And that will parse a parse notification, and all right, so and then Azure function update data store, and then Azure function notify signal service, GitHub widget reload from data store. I think that makes sense. I think those are the individual pieces there. So the webhook, right, that there's no code needed for that. You saw I went into my settings and I was able to I'm able to configure that easily. But the parse notification, update data store, and notify signal service, those are three pieces that we're gonna have to write some code for. The fugitive wizard. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate your compliments there. Please feel free to ask some questions here in the chat room. I really appreciate you chiming in there. Chusk says there's some good F# Azure webhook examples. There you go. There you go, Chusk. All right. Let's grab that. I'm going to grab that URL. Good Azure webhook examples. Awesome. Let me go to that first before I go and include it. Just to make sure that you're not rickrolling me here, there we go. Cool. Why not have the notification to the widget have all the data it needs? Have the notification... Okay, so let me make sure I understand what Discordia is suggesting. Have this notification have all the data it needs that comes out of the signal service, what it pushes into the GitHub widget, have all the data that it needs. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, Discordia. As we start building this, of course, everything will be open source, open for discussion, and once we get past this basic introduction here, you know what? Maybe we can expand and figure out, what other things we want to do. Doing a reload feels like the quick and dirty, simple thing to do, right? I can tell the web page, reload, and it'll just get its data from wherever my data store is and repopulate. Using data store as immediate separates supply from demand. Yeah. Lots of F# folks I know are using Fable to compile to JavaScript Azure functions. Oh, that's cool. Isaac has some resources, having a harder time. That's okay. So, where I want to start here today, because I still haven't written my own program yet, and I'm not with F# yet. I want to start with exploring and understanding this piece. How do I update a data store? What does that look like? Right? I'm familiar, of course, with using Entity Framework to do an update and write data from C#. But how do I do that with F#? I want to get my arms around that because I think that's that's something that we can figure out, quickly. Have a little sample. Okay, here's the piece that does this, and then we can look at parsing the notification that we receive from GitHub, which is going to be a block of text, right? It'll be some JSON that we'll parse, and we'll figure out what to do with that information. And notify signal our service, I think we can get to here maybe next Friday. We'll figure out how to write that piece, and the GitHub widget. Changing it so it loads from a different data store should be very easy for us to do. So I think that's a nice way to break out the various pieces that we need here to make this feed and load properly. Let me know. Dota feeding. Cool. All right, there's a neat name. Okay, let's dive into this now. So, updating the data store. So I haven't written an F# application yet, so let's open up a new. Let's start a new command line project to just. Sounds like type providers today, and I need to learn a little bit more about type providers, and that's exactly why I'm chunking this up, Fubarius, is to figure those things out. For those interested in F# and Fable conf just announced. Let's take a look at that. Fable conf. Fable conf. 26th to 27th October in Berlin. Cool. All right. Not many have been ported to Netcore support yet. Right. So these are some things that I need to figure out and learn. All right. So I'm over here. So let's make a directory, and let's call this fs. Just. How do I want to do this? Let's just call this data, because it's my first attempt with this. Now I have a CSV file. I did that slash the other way here, and this is actually the data from Twitch from last week's F# Friday. And it shows the current timestamp on the 8th, right? The 8th? Yeah. The number of viewers, the number of live views, new followers, blah, blah, blah. You can see all the content that's up here on the header, right? It's actually probably easier to read that in Excel. There we go. That's easier to see. So, simple statistics that show a little bit of information about what's out there. All right. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to set up a little SQLite database, and let's just load some of this data in here so that maybe I can draw some graphs off of it or something in the future. CSV type provider is updated to work on net standard. Cool. All right. So I have no idea how to get started with this. Okay, I just know here's my data file, and I'm not a fan of how long that file name is. Let's just shorten this. Let's do that. All right, so it's just the date. I don't need all that other crap. So eventually I'll be able to just grab these, and I'll know exactly what the date is because of the file name to read in. Hey, Mr. Regs, good to see you. All right, so I'm just going to do a .NET new, and I want to grab, I'm going to create a console application using F#, and I want to write it to the current directory. So I'm going to specify -o and tell it to write it into the current folder. So .NET new console, I think it's lang, like that, right? Yep. F sharp, and then I want to say -O here. And it doesn't like it. We'll take that one. Nope. I thought it was... Oh, I made this mistake last time. It's 1-. No. There it is. All right. It's pretty straightforward if you look at the documentation. Cool. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Let's... Where'd it go? I'm going to grab that link from Mikadu. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. And let's open that here. Cool. Oh my gosh. Parsing stock prices. Stocks.load. Type stocks, CSV provider. Oh, very cool. Charting stock prices. Yes. All right. Oh, this looks very cool. This looks like exactly the kind of sample that I was looking for. All right. Excuse me. This looks really cool. All right. I don't have a big data set. All right. Just make sure you get the latest beta to get the net standard support. At least name them YYMMDD to find them later. All right. I'm okay with that. It was 06. There we go. All right. I'll change that from underscores to hyphens. That way we can parse it more easily. This generates a typed interface for your CSV, even at compile time. Cool. So this is... The type provider is located in the F# data DLL assembly. Fierce Kittens, thank you so much for hosting. Steve, you don't look too happy there. Steve. Thank you for applauding our F# efforts here, but come on, buddy. All right. Let's think. All right. So how do I get F# data DLL into my project? So I'm already using assuming the assembly, I don't want to put it in there. I want to add it. Right? So not an item group to compile, but I want an item group of packages. Right? Oh, I'm not going to get the IntelliSense on this, am I? Rats. F# data NuGet package is what you're looking for. You can ignore the R lines there for F# interactive. All right, well let me get there. Right, isn't it include equals, and then you're saying F# dot data? Like that. Needs to be a capital S. And the version we want. That's not how you spell NuGet.org. There we go. F# data. There it is. We want 300 beta 3. Now, actually, you know what? Let's do this with the .NET CLI. Because I'm always going and editing this file. Let's show how you can do it here on the CLI. Yeah, thanks. I know I can do that. So .NET add package, right? And I don't have to mess with any XML if I do this. F#.data, and I'm forcing the version number to that 300 beta 3. And let that spin. It's fetching the data from NuGet.org, and you can see exactly how it updated the project, right? It added that package reference, and I was already keying in include and version, so it added that. Is it useful to start using third-party libraries before understanding the concepts? Is F#data a third-party library? The F# community builds a lot of these things that are kind of standard. Right, these are kind of de facto standards from the community. So with .NET Core, you do need to add packages for everything, right? I mean, these are framework support things, not so much language support things, right? So so now we can work with data. I can go back over here to my program, and there's my entry point. Here we go. Ionide's lighting up for me. Look at this. Awesome. All right. I really need the coffee this morning. Whew. All right, so if we go back to that sample and if we follow along with this briefly, so this is going after you said this is for F# interactive. That's fine. So we need to add an open statement for F#.data, and I'm getting the IntelliSense too. Fantastic. So this is effectively the same thing as a using statement in C#. Oh yeah, absolutely. Cheers, Brent. All right. So let's see. Parsing stock prices, that's what it looks like. Type stocks, CSV provider, and then it's pointing to that file. That's not a bad idea to have a data folder. So let's create a data folder and just stick it in there. All right. So it's saying type, and then, all right. Now, okay. So let main argv. Okay. Right, these are the arguments being passed in. And right now it's hello world from F#, and that's stupid. We don't want that. Go away. Only thing I've written so far in F# are some tag helpers of mine I converted, not tried data yet. Yeah, right? Let's get our hands dirty. So I'm going to say type, and let's capture the viewers. Equals, and it was CSV, right? CSV provider? And now it's saying go up one to data. Sure, that sounds good. And it was 2018-06-08.csv. So, right? Or do I put that somewhere else? I think I need to put this somewhere else. Now, why is it upset about CSV? It's not defined. Main is a function, you should define your type outside. Yeah. So, all right, so the function is here, the type is up here. And let's call this FS Friday viewers. Make it a little bit more verbose what it is. Why isn't it finding CSV provider, right? CSV provider. I'm using F# data, okay. .NET restore. Well, I did the add and it installed it here. Sure, let's do .NET restore. I mean, it says it's already there, right? So I'm getting a red line there. What happens if I reach into FS Friday and Async load, get sample. Okay, the red went away. Yeah. Okay, so I've got the data. It's not clear what it thinks that data is. Can we just do a print? I can type. You know, total measurements, right? And say FS Friday viewers. I don't want to say row. If I say load, wait a sec. Let's load. That's not right. That's not right. FS Friday viewers, load. And, oh, and it wants to load from a URI. Okay. Right, data 2018 0608.csv. So it should have that data, right? It can be a file path as well, yeah. So if I just do that, right? Save that, and now if I send it to the console, to the F# interactive, right? Let me make sure. Send file. Let's see what it does. The type CS. The type is not defined, so it's not finding. That's the type, but not. That's not the type, but the data. Yeah, agreed. See my comment above about sample versus runtime. Note that when you're providing with this type definition, it's only a sample of the overall data. You can't just have a subset. You can just have a subset to train the type provider, and then at runtime you do a type name.load async. Right. To load the real potentially large data set. You can't send to FSI without adding that R line. Ah, okay. All right. So let's add that, which is not quite right. Right, because it's going to be bin debug netcore app 2.1. It's not there. It's not there. Let's go back to terminal. Let's go over to PowerShell. Let's do a .NET build. So, and even then, I don't know if it's going to put that file over there. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So there's FS data. So my URL that I need to have it go down is, I don't know if it's all of that I need, but it's bin debug netcore app 2.1, and I think I need the slashes the other way. No, maybe it is front ways. So training could be like headers and sample data only. Yes! I only need to send one in to kind of define what this thing looks like. Alright. Assembly reference was not found or invalid. No. 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 I broke it. I'm so sorry. I want to know where you're running from. cdev fs data. Okay. Assembly reference was not found or is invalid. Oh, the double semis. That's right. Okay, so why isn't it finding... Right, if I go bin, debug, netcore app 2.1, F# data DLL. was not found. It's easier to use the full path at this stage. I kind of agree with you. Which, right, I'm getting... Yeah, it doesn't like that at all, because, right, because of the slashes. So can I do at there? Nope. Doesn't like it. Oh, I forgot the F sharp dot data dot DLL. Nope. Was not found or is invalid. Well, that's gonna cut us off real quick here. Try the generate command. No, it picked up the slashes. What generate command? I don't know what that is. Generate documentation. Big deal. You know, where did the documentation go? No, I don't. I told it generate documentation and it didn't do anything. I'm missing the DL. Right, I put the DLL on the end there. FS data DLL? Oh, you know what? That's mine. That's not f#.data. Oh, crap. Where is that hiding? Oh, crap. Because I installed the package, it's... Right, it's over in... Oh, jeez. Is it app data? NuGet? No. I think it's app data local NuGet. Nope, not under cache. Oh, dear Lord. Alright, where did they put it now? I thought it was... Oh, .NuGet packages. F# data. There it is. Lib, net standard. There it is. Dear God. Alright. I wonder. I wonder. Can I do that? Nope. Oof. That doesn't feel very reusable, right, for other folks that are going to try using my code. Now it works. Build as self-contained and it will appear there. I'm blanking on .NET Core self-contained. NuGet package, self-contained deployment. Self-contained. You're kidding. I'm trying to remember what the couple of tags that I need are, and it's not here. Set the runtime identifiers. I think that was the only thing, was the runtime identifiers, right? Win7 x64. Yes. Oh, come on, man. There we go. All right. Here. So now if I .NET build, I should get, no. Might want to use .NET Watch at this point. Yeah, I'm feeling you there. Are you kidding? Win7-x64. Win7-x. I need to .NET restore because I've specified a runtime identifier. Unable to find package. You're kidding. Net Core app with version greater than 2.1.1. I'm not referencing 2.1.1. I'm referencing Net Core app. Just to be safe, let's do a .NET new global JSON, and let's lock this to 2.1.300, which is 210. .NET restore now. Here we go. All right. And now if we .NET build. .NET build is supposed to call .NET restore now. Build failed. Our directives may only appear in F# script files, either move, blah, blah, blah. But it did not copy it down there. Try .NET build again, and then I will .NET watch. Okay, so that says it built, but it's not in my Net Core app folder. So it didn't do the full self-contained deployment. Self-contained, I don't want to do the roll forward, I just want to do it. Self-contained deployment. Yes. Step-by-step examples. Create the project. Code. Where is it? I need to specify the framework with the .NET publish. And then I'll have it available to me. This seems... Yeah, this seems weird that I need to do .NET publish in order to get this. We don't need all of this. Just run the program. You could remove the R entirely and just .NET run. Alright, so let's .NET run. Could not find part of the path. C dev debug data. See, now it's looking in the wrong location because I'm running from inside that folder. So I need to back up one to get above the debug folder. I need one more to get above the bin folder. So that should do it. So I need two more like that. Try this again, .NET run. You'll need to copy the content. Maybe. Alright, so that worked. And if I look in my folder, it still doesn't have the F# data DLL down there. Let's do this .NET publish so I have a copy of the DLL here. And I want Net Core app 2.1. Do I say 2.1? What do you mean source directory? Wasn't there some magic constant for the source file location? _ source directory. But is that... It won't copy the DLL to the directory unless you do a .NET publish. Yeah. Right, and even then, I'm down here, there, and over here, and there's FS data. So when I go to compile and ship this, that feels terrible. You know? Alright, so this is in this location, right? So now I could do that, which means that these locations are wrong. So you're look at the warning that I've got. The result of the expression has type and is explicitly ignored. Consider using ignore to discard this value explicitly. Well, I'm not done yet. Right? We're getting there. Right, but now I need to... This feels weird. Right, you were saying source directory? Like that? Okay. So if I do that... It didn't output anything. Shouldn't I have at least gotten a 0 and parsing or something? Nothing. Unexpected open in interaction, expected incomplete. Structured construct at or before this point. Huh. It's a keyword essentially. Oh. Not that. And get rid of this. Nope. Nope. All right. All right. I'll put that let data in there that is being suggested. But I've got a bunch of red squiggles here that it's upset. Comment out the but if I do that, it doesn't know, right? Unexpected infix operator, expected comma or other token. Yeah, this is, no. It does not like that. No, not defined because I don't have this. Type provider report an error. Assembly attribute refers to a designer assembly, which cannot be loaded or doesn't exist. Okay, goodbye. Does this work? No. Okay. Could not find part of the path. C dev fsbin debug data. Okay. Now I'm pointed at the wrong location. I think that was the location. All right, let's see if it finds that. Yeah, the interactive just feels completely worthless to me because it's not code. I have to structure code differently for the interactive that does not work in the compiler. And total measurements. Okay, so I've got that. Right, I have to write code differently for there to either reference DLLs that I'm going to use, and it's easier if you add the data file as content and set it to copy always. Someone post instructions for generate references, please. Ward says it seems like a cheat, but can't you just put a project item in the project file to have something deployed in your output? Yes. Ah, Karos. Yes, I do. Right-click on project, generate references. All right. F# icon. Right-click on the project, generate references for FSI. Holy crap! I would have never found that. And it can't find it. And it doesn't work. Does not contain the namespace, read-only span. No. No. I'm not even going to look at that anymore. I'm going to work with the .NET command line using the watch. Alright, so data is... not printfn, data. The value is unused, full name data, and it's a CSV provider. So if I say total measurements %0, and I say data, now what properties do we have on this? Okay, so let's say data dot rows, and do I have a count property on there or something? No. And it's not %0, is it? It's %s, right? And that's not even going to work, right? It was %d. What is rows? Rows is a sequence, so I should be able to say count on that. Right? Like that? So, should be separated by spaces or tupled, and the arguments involving functions build failed. Line 1237, so yeah, it's this thing. Right, that's a sequence. So shouldn't I be able to say, right, dot length? I have to pipe it. Ah. See, that's a, alright. It's not compatible with any of the types arising. SQL dot, okay, two ways. Open system dot link, which is really where I'm thinking. To get dot count, right. There we go. Right, now I should be able to do that. No. Should be separated by spaces. What am I doing wrong? IEnumerable doesn't have count. Yes, it does. Yes, IEnumerable has count. IEnumerable. Enumerable count. It's an extension method. You'll need parens around that statement. Now, why do I need parens around that? There we go. Alright, so it found the 27 lines. You still need to think about operator precedence. I see. I need to have this executed first, before. Alright, now the the other way was to pipe it into sequence.count. So if I so let's try it the more F-sharpy way. If I did data dot rows and I tried to pipe it into sequence dot, there is no, I saw length. Now do I have to put that in parentheses? Okay, so that works also. Piping to the left is kind of dirty. Explain to me piping to the left. What do you mean? So I get the piping there instead of using, right, and we're taking the sequence object and we're using the length function on it. Okay, like MikaDo did. Okay. All right. So let's do that. And oh dear Lord. You can put the row's length before and then pipe it into. Yes, that is quite confusing. Okay. You probably want to invert the expression rows sequence length print fn. Really? All right, let's try that. So data.rows, pipe that through sequence.length, and then pipe that into printfn. Total measurements. And then that was a, right, %d. Now, why the preference for line 14 format versus line 13 format? Right, as a C# developer, I think, well, I'm printing this out. So this is the format that I want, and this is what I'm putting into that format. So this is why I think this way, and I'm not taking the F#. Let's take the value we're working on, pipe it through this function, and then pipe it into this output. Thank you for the follow, Pan7 UFA. It's so you can read left to right. You never have to jump around in the source to understand what's happening. The flow of your data goes with the reading direction. So that I'm ending with the format. Okay. Okay. Sure, I can get that. Now, what properties do I have on my data here? Let's take a look at what's here. Headers, number of columns. What's quote? Quotation mark used for surrounding values. Let's see. So if I want to get the first row and just output that. So if I do data.rows, and then can I do 0 like that? Right? What, do I have properties on that? Alright, let me try this. Row 1. And that's a string I'm outputting, so where's it? %s. Sequence.head. Now why sequence.head? Yeah, TLDR, developers. I got the rows, then I got the length, then I printed it out. Okay. So you're piping that through seq.head, and then piping it. Do I need to be... Right, so what does head return? Head returns the first element of the sequence. Okay. So in our case, the rows with data. Indexers in F# require the single quote between the collection and the brackets, because brackets are also list literals. Alright, hang on. So if I run this, it's going to choke because that %s. Expecting a provider row, but given a string unit. Does not match the type string. Okay. So, alright, let's go back to our type provider documentation. Here. Rows, oh, there it is, piped into sequence.head. So does it have my headers? If I look at the data, let's go back to the folder, data, this. Let's try and grab the viewers object. Right? If I go into sequence, right, into, it piped into sequence.head for the first row. All right. So if I say let first row equal data dot rows sequence dot head. H. Connor, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you joining us. Then if I say, let's call this first viewers. Then if I say, I should be able to say, right? First row dot viewers. Oh, look at that. Okay, didn't. The field constructor or member viewers is not defined. Or you can call %o to call toString on the passed in value. Love the %a. What does the %a? What if you put literal on top of? Hang on, you're. Okay. The field constructor or member viewers is not defined. Okay, so it doesn't know what that is. What does it know in here? Yeah, I don't see any of my fields. Okay. But this is saying it's able to say first row dot date, because date is one of the fields. So we loaded the data. That's how we iterated over the rows and grabbed the length. I'm saying go grab the header row. No. Right, so rows, go grab the header row, and then I want to grab the date. Well, I want to grab the viewers. If it didn't find the property, it's likely that it didn't read the file correctly. Maybe start by specifying the full exact paths to limit the possibility for mix-ups. Fair enough. Let's try that. So I'll come back over here, go to this, and let's load that directly. Oh, jeez. I'll do double backslash. Don't need that. Let's see if it found it. Nope. Make sure this found that. Okay. Now it found it. That's weird to me. It's not the header row, it's the first row. There's a headers property on data that will give you the actual headers. There's a headers property on data. The names of the columns. Okay, so we could do some sort of a loop over that and output those. That's kind of cool. All right. Okay. So the first number of viewers is it says 48.8. I had it open here. So that's what it grabbed. Okay, so we've got that information. So what I want to do is I want to do a for loop across that and the time and turn that into a, turn that into a data type that I'll insert into a database. Why did the paths work okay when you just printed total measurements? I don't know, Cryptrix. And it's not clear to me why. Right, if we take this back to here. Could not find part of the path because it's down inside of debug. Aha. All right. One more. And that should find it, right? Nope. But it's not telling me that it can't find the file, right? Difference between compile time and runtime search path. Oh, dear Lord. All right. So really where I want to get to is I want to be able to pass in that location. Oh, and I didn't get to why I'm wearing my Eagles Super Bowl hat, and I've got the Eagles shirt on. It's last night my favorite team here in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles, they won the Super Bowl this year. They got their championship rings last night, so I'm celebrating with them. Let's do a copy to output. All right, I'll do the copy to output directory. Right in its item group, and I want to do this as a separate item group because, right, it's a none. Is that right? Include equals data 2018 06 08 CSV copy to output directory. All right, the syntax, show me a sample. Show me a sample. It's not an embedded resource, it's not a compile, I thought it was a none. Because I don't want it to compile. No. That's great. Yeah, that's what I thought. It is, and it is inside of it. I don't want to do a copy. That's stupid. I wish I had the IntelliSense here on this stuff. Oh my gosh. Copy to output directory. True. And I don't get the... Okay, so that worked because it's still pointed at the other. It did not copy it to the output directory. All right. Whoa, hang on, hang on. You're saying make this a content. See if it writes it. Nope. Copy to publish directory. No. Preserve newest. Nope. I'm getting rid of this. Preserve newest. No, that's not what I'm seeing. Not compile content. Copy to output. Preserve newest. Nope. Do you publish, not just compile? I'm not doing a publish. Hey, buoyant air. That's what I thought it was supposed to be, copy to output. But I was trying what Ward was suggesting here. Nope. I'm getting the full data folder. I don't want the full data folder. I want it sitting right there. No. It's not clear to me how to change the folder. It is F# Friday, that's right. It is fine. Yeah, I know. Because I'm specifying it's coming from here, it's going to put it in the exact same format over there. I guess that's alright for this. So then I can change this to just like that, and that should always work. Alright. Link attribute will change the file path, I think. Okay. Alright, so I have the first collection of viewers. I want to start writing a for loop. Right, so I'm going to do an F# for loop. So for pattern in enumerable expression, do, and then whatever our body. Alright, so I want to write a for loop over each one of the rows. So it's going to be for and then pattern. Pattern, alright. Let's say row in data.rows. Right? Yep, okay. Now I could do, let's save this so it's just hanging around. I could say row.viewers and pipe that through the printfn. But I don't want to push just the row viewers. Maybe I want to push both row viewers and row dot, what's the first timestamp? And actually those are in the wrong order. If I want to say at we had %d viewers, right? Okay, unexpected integer literal and expression on line 21. Use double pipe. All right. Expected the yield or other token. Oh, I forgot the do. Okay, so type date time does not match. Ah, okay, so it's picking up this as a date. Right, so let's change that to an O. The type decimal is not compatible with any of the... No, viewers. Okay, so why isn't viewers, right? And I've quickly learned this makes more sense, and I'm trying to use that same approach here to just do this print before I start saying, okay, open a database connection and start inserting. %m for the decimals now. But that worked when I was doing it here. So I don't understand why this works when working with the viewers, doing a %o. Right, and, okay. Alright, so, cool. Now, it's the wrong day, right? It's picking up the time and it's putting the wrong day on this. Okay. So instead of %m, I could have done that and inevitably gotten the same thing. Right? Come on. Oh, cool. It did run. All right. You used I think you mean not 50, I think you mean %0. %o. You had %d. Okay. All right. So, and %m. Now, the timestamp isn't quite right. We know the timestamp date should be this, so how do I swap that in as the date part of the timestamp? I don't know. If you do that, you can pass in anything and lose some safety. Ah, new keyboard. Cool. All right. Well, I already have the type definition. Exactly, Cryptrex is how to format that timestamp type. Right now, the %o is doing effectively a 2-string on the timestamp, but the timestamp it's just this part, so it's adding that onto today, which isn't right. Right, if I mouse over that, yeah, it's a date, it's a full date time, so I want to change the date part. Right, now if I was in C#, right, I would create a new date with this part and then the time of day part of that and put it together. And that would be my new timestamp. But the timestamp's already being loaded and handled by the type provider. So what if, instead of just doing row.timestamp, I did just time of day? So that's a little bit clearer. Do it the same as you would in C# then. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. TLDR. Okay, so I've got a little bit of information now about what it's doing. But I want to start to load this into a database. So the next question, now that I know how to grab and iterate through the CSV file, and that's really cool how easy it is to do that. Let's actually write it. So change the date part anyway. Yeah. Right, so let this date equal, can I say new date time? Now I would, oh no, let's do datetime.parse. Go away. Shoo. 2018 06 08. And whoa, what is all this? Oh, wait a sec. This needs to be mutable. Right? Here we go. All right. Yeah. Add row dot timestamp dot time of day. So that would be this date. So then I can change this to this date. And now it should have it. Aren't we streaming on Mixer? No, we are not, Ravenduel. There's a part on customizing the type in the docs for later. No, let's take a look at that. No, we stopped streaming to Mixer some time ago. There's a number of facilities that Mixer doesn't have available to us. Alright, so if I go into the documentation, where? F# GitHub, F#.data, library, CSV provider, yeah. Customizing, transforming, no. Handling big data sets. Custom separators. Specifying missing values. By specifying infer rows static parameter of CSV provider. If you specify 0, the entire file will be used. Columns with only 0 blah 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 will be set to bool. Okay. If a value is missing in any row, by default CSV type provider will infer fireworks. What's the fireworks for? Right, because I don't want to be doing this on each row. Right, at some point I want to pass in an argument that is the name of the file to load. And you receive that here, and then, parse that file name and load. We made it correct date printing. Shut up. I get it. I see where we're going there. Alright, fine. Alright. So, we're learning, right? This is a learning process, right? Heck, I've got something looping through a file and outputting data from that file. I'm feeling pretty good about myself right now. Look for schema equals. Schema equals. Okay. Some or all the types in the schema static parameter of CSV provider, valid format setter, type measure, name type measure. Oh boy. Okay. So inside the angle brackets, we can specify the parameter schema equals, and then I can specify some of the fields. I don't have to specify all of them. Okay. This is pretty cool, actually. Make a function that accepts a file name. Yeah. Right? 6th of August. I know. What's 6th of August? No, that's my American format. So I go month, day, year. Yeah, I know some of the folks in Europe, you read it the other way. That's okay. Just leave out the ones you don't want to set. Okay, so let's try that feature. So on the CSV provider, I'm going to add is it a comma? And then specify schema. I don't know what these other things are, but that's, and I can't even escape and hide it. All right, schema, and then the first column is timestamp. Okay, and in parentheses, it looks like the type. Is that right? Type. Okay. So I'm like doubling up the parentheses here. Schema. No, hang on. Like that. Yeah, okay. Timestamp, and then I want to put in here, yeah, you don't know what timestamp is yet. Time of day is a, isn't it date time offset? Like that? So then can I do this? Does that work? Does that work? The field constructor, maybe you want one of the following. Alright. There's a list of valid typed above. Date time, time of day. Right? System, date, time. You're kidding. Come on now. Right, time of day is the time span. Ah. So if I change that. Nope, does not like that. Timestamp, maybe you want. Time span is not supported apparently. No, this is down on line 17. This is here. You should use this site for documentation. It's the same on, right, I can... Didn't route me. If I just search for date time... No, not Exchange. Why am I looking at Exchange server? You're freaking kidding me, right? I mean, seriously. No. I'm literally specifying the object type and you're not finding it. Not MSDN. And it's not even showing me docs, Microsoft.com. I don't want methods, I want the object. Why is this so hard to find? Okay. And properties. Time of day. It's a time span. So even though I went to MSDN, it's the same thing. And I'll, just to be clear, if I go to 2.1, it's still a time span. All right. Checklist of valid types. Cryptrix could also be, they say it's because of the weird format. Try .Net API browser. Sadly, the type provider doesn't support specifying time span there yet. I'll add an enhancement issue to the... Oh, okay. So I'm going to drop the schema because there we go. Because it doesn't support that yet. So, all right, that works for me. Cool. It is the place to find docs. Yes, you're going to right docs.net API browser. Right. How do you get here? If I go out to docs.microsoft.com, how do I get to the API browser? If I click .NET, how do I get to the API browser? I could click on one of these. Now I'm in. This is not the name of that. Different. Confusing. Docs.com. I heard about that. I think that's a little pretentious to own docs.com and say that it routes over here. I think that's very pretentious because there are lots of other folks out there that have lots of other documentation that you're routing them here for. So .net, then click docs. So .net, click docs. Right. And now you need to know to click into one of these if you wanted to search to find the date time type. It doesn't bring you to the type. It's not even in the first 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to give it that because it's not the date time type. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's not even on the first page. The system date time type. Right? When I search for something that is a type, you should go to that type. Search for a type in docs, and the type is not on the first page. Right? If I were to search for right, regex, right? There's another type. It's not here either. Regular expression options, we're getting closer. Developer friction, yes. Next hackathon, absolutely, Mr. Regs. I completely agree with you. If I search for int, it's going to take me and show me int 32? Yes. That worked. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. All right, I'm going to give it the full article name, system.datetime. And it's not on the first page. I'm even looking at security. So, click .net and on navigation bar, go to API. Look, I'm following you, Dark Jeepers. I agree. Makes sense. Yes. Right, if I click .net Core, right, filter by title, it's not over there. How to convert a string to a date time. You want to go to the APIs, so click APIs. And it finds it. If you try to search, it doesn't find it. So that's my question, that's my feedback, is this search box, if you type the exact name of the article that you're looking for, right? I'll even go so far as to give it exactly the the name of the article. It doesn't pop up on the first page. Now, I know what I'm looking for, but for somebody else who doesn't, okay, right? I mean, and I'm trying to learn a new language here. If new folks are coming in, they might have a similar challenge. All right. remind me today, I want to raid another developer stream when we're getting through here. It's not, and that's a very good point, Dark Jeepers. It's not. How can we reduce that friction and make it even easier for folks to learn and pick up some of these things? And this feels like an incongruity. Look at that. So, I completely get, if you want to search for the exact name of the API, you have to go to the API browser. I get it. But if I'm going to docs.com and I want to find out, show me the date time type, I get sent to Exchange. Right? I mean, the first article when you search about date time is Exchange. Right? And it's not just this year's Exchange. No. It's Exchange from 8 years ago. And then more Office development. Dynamics. Business Central. So, knowing that that's the name of the article, it doesn't find it. Now we don't need to riot. It's how can we reduce the friction here? These are the things we're searching for, and a number of you have said this, including Dark Jeepers. It's easier to just Google for it because some of these things the search doesn't find it. I see return types just fine on there. The return types are missing in the docs. They're actually really well, I think, in the MSDN docs. If I go to MSDN Microsoft.com, and yep, it blocked me from getting there. System date time. Right, I searched for system date time and it took me to, Google found and put me into .NET Framework. Now it knows some of the syntax that I'm searching for. But if I go down here to time of day, right, who said it? The return types, Fubarius, very good point. Return types for properties are not listed in the docs. That would be very good. The method list, it does list the input types, but it doesn't list the return types. That would be very good to have as well. So, I like the feedback, team. I like it. Thank you. And none of this is a knock. It's, hey, this might be something that'll improve and make it easier to find some of these things. Exchange guys paid to be at the top of the list. Rated NI for needs improvement. Yeah. You know what? Overall, the documentation is really good. I think this would help reduce some of the friction. There's Google, all the other ones, and all the other ones are crappy. You know what I really like is DuckDuckGo. Sure, go ahead. Add it to Firefox. Do it. Yes, do it. Thank you. So now, right, if I do system date time, and I can actually force it to go to Google with a bang G, and it goes over to Google. So there's all kinds of little gizmos and tricks you can use with DuckDuckGo. I can force it over to Bing with a bang B. Quack, quack, absolutely. And Bing even gives me a little bit of information from MSDN right up at the top. All right, enough about that. Let's get back into our code. So the next thing I wanted to do was load the data. So I have the data in, right? I have my data in these row objects. And I'm reformatting the date here. Bing does feel a little bit better, yeah. and plus 10 for DuckDuckGo. Cool. Trivia: the founders of DuckDuckGo are actually they're in the next county over from me here outside of Philadelphia. That's where their headquarters is. Index on docs is using something simple like number of hits. Okay. It's not waiting new articles. That's fine. To me, it looks like searches the whole site, not just the API docs. Exactly. Right? Which feeds even more into the concern that I have with docs.com, and it's now blah, everything, you know? It's literally documentation about everything Microsoft, and I don't want documentation about everything with Microsoft. I want .NET, and I want my system date time, and it doesn't find... Searching for .NET and system date time gets me to security analyzers, portability analyzers. .NET, no. So, I think... I'm not a fan of the search box here. I think it needs some work. Microsoft should buy DuckDuckGo. No, completely disagree. Microsoft uses Bing as advertising platform, and that's very much against what DuckDuckGo is trying to do, where DuckDuckGo is very private. Searches without tracking, yes. No tracking. Need to add some weighting. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah. Right now, I think the other search engines that are indexing it do a better job. Waiting on product names that are passed in, to say, oh, this is a product name, it matches one of our index, right? The .NET index. Search the .NET index for this. So, but I wanted to get into loading this data. Actually, hang on. The demo here I thought I saw had a chart. Did I see a chart there? That might be fun. Charting stock prices. Open f#.charting to draw a simple line chart. Really? Where does it go? Chart.fastline. Where does it write it? So let's add f#charting. Right, just to see what that looks like. NuGet. I need a new one of these. Here we go. All right. I need to .NET publish, right? Gotta run, catch you tomorrow. All right, catch you later, S&B. Shoot, what was the .NET publish command that we ran? It's hiding in here somewhere. Feels bad that I need to run .NET publish. Or no, wait, no, I don't. No, I don't need to do that. We're good. Don't need that. Sorry. Ugh. Alright, so now I have the charting available, so if I were to try this part of the sample, I should say open f#charting. I think it was just restored. Yeah, it should have. Right? If I .NET restore. Was restored using .NET Framework 4.6.1 instead of Target Framework. Well, that'll be a problem. No dependencies. Bummer. Alright, we're not going to be able to use that. Yeah, since it's Net Framework. Rats. Alright. So, oh my gosh, I've got terrible itch on the top of my head. Mr. Amante. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And how you doing, Steve? Haven't seen you too much this morning. All right, so I'm going to load data into Entity Framework, right, and then end up writing it to disk. So how do we do that? Entity Framework with F#. No, that's 4.1. Entity Framework Core, using Entity Framework Core with F#. All right, let's see this. And this was written in March, so this should get us somewhere. From Elko Mulder. Cool. There's an SQL type provider. Is there? There's an SQL type provider. All right, well, let's take a look at that. SQL connection type provider. Is there a SQLite? F# provider for SQLite. Project ideas for F#. MySQL type provider now supports SQLite. Feel free to contribute and help testing. Entity Framework supports SQLite. This is back in 2012, dear Lord. No. He means SQL provider as the library. Here's a website, the community member that uses EF with F#, giraffe blog. All right, let's grab that giraffe blog. Okay. Giraffe.NET Core Entity Framework Core. Holy crow. All right, choose. Wow. All right, that's pretty cool. Configure services. All right, add distributed memory cache, add session, add giraffe, add authentication, add cookie, and then pipe it to ignore. Nice. Configure culture, configure app, configure logging, web host builder. Now, where's the EF being configured? Is it data? CLI mutable. And it's opening Microsoft Entity Framework Core. Alright, so we're going to need to add that. And there's our types. Post, author, comment. Interesting, the AND keyword. What's the AND keyword? Type blog data options. Okay, so this looks like our context. Alright. Alright. You probably just want... yeah. Alright, so I'm going to grab Entity Framework Core. Looks like we also are going to need component model data annotations. But first, let's get Entity Framework Core. All right, here. So package reference include equals. Now, if I just get Microsoft Entity Framework Core, that's right. And if I get 2.1.0, right, that's going to get Entity Framework Core, but I want specifically Entity Framework Core for SQLite. So if I get this one, it'll bring in Entity Framework Core also, because it does, it restores transitive dependencies, right? It sees which things it also needs. So did the .NET Watch? Didn't kick off that. So let's .NET restore, and it should bring in both packages. Oh, I see what you're doing there. Actually, that package should be here locally already. The AND enables you to define types that are cyclic. Alright. So I don't have the charting. But I feel like I need to be in a separate file to start working with that. But I never learned anything in the tutorials about how to jump from one file to the next. Right? Is it just available to me? Let's do that. Data FS, okay. So if we look at how it's doing it here, yeah, module data, I like that. We're gonna want system, we're gonna want system component model, yep. Data and rotations. So far so good. Define a new module in the file and either open it or just use it like a namespace. Fantastic. I'm on the right path. Alright, and then I want to open Microsoft Entity Framework Core. Now, why didn't it find that one? Don't forget to add your file to the FS proj. Ah, that's probably why. Actually, doesn't the SDK type grab all the files that it knows and includes it in it? You shouldn't have to do this. It should. Above my entry point. Really? Okay, that's interesting. Was not expecting that. As it will depend on data. Okay. Learned something new. Okay. So now I should be able to start defining my data types, right? So type stream views, right? Yeah, we're gonna need to put that. You were saying CLI mutable on this. Okay. Now I'm gonna need my own key. That's going to be a, yeah, ID int. Oh, look at me with the commas. All right, and then why am I getting a line there? No, and this one. Oh, I need the. Okay. Attribute syntax is square brackets, angle bracket. Gotcha. F# for fun and profit. Really? This post. So this forces those dependency orders out. All right. Okay, so int, and then I want to have the the measurement time. Right, which will be a date time. Viewers, right, and that will be, we're seeing it's a decimal there. Now, I also have new followers. And I have the number of chatters as well. So let's grab new followers. That is an int. Chatters, let's make that an int as well. Okay. Oh, I'm missing the angle brackets up here. Of course. That's better. Okay. So now the next thing was having a type for the DB context. Okay. So let's just grab something that looks like this for right now. The boss is texting. All right, there we go. So I will call this. What the heck is that? Viewer data. Okay, inherit DB context options. And val mutable. Viewer counts. Let's call it. And it's a DB set of stream views. Nah. Stream views. And let's... Yeah. Stream views. And, don't need those. Now, what's with the default value here? It's not saying. Alright. Member... stream views. So, alright, so we've created a type here. This is a richer type, a record type. I'm not sure what the double underscore here is. This is a bunch of cruft you have to add because EF is very particular about properties and nulls and such. Okay. So now I have a way to get viewer data. Here. I don't need these other things. Alright. It's theoretically possible to extend EF to support to recognize F# patterns, but the work hasn't been done. Okay. But I want to initialize my data with my database provider. Services, add DB context, data blog data, use SQL Server, pumping in the connection string, ignore. That's funny, piping through ignore. You're saying to throw away this as you're not using it. Yeah. Right, and that's... I find that interesting. So I don't want to add DB context because I'm just going to create one and I want to pass into it for the options my connection string. Right? Okay. So this is going... If I go back over here... Before I loop through that, let's get access to a new database. Yeah. Can I just create that out here? You can hover over options and see its type. where? Back over here. DB context options. Yeah. So I can pass in my connection string. If I want to specify the connection string is, and let's get a SQLite connection string. Looks something like that. Don't need a password. Data source equals, and we'll call this stream data DB. Makes sense. All right. So now I have a connection string. So before I load the data, let DB context equal. Okay, here we go. Data dot. What did I call the context? Viewer data. Right now, what did I mess up there? It's DB context options. Yuck. You don't normally specify the version. No, you don't. You're right. That's fine. Let's get rid of that. Right, so instead of... Right, because I'm not using a dependency injection container. If I say dot, can I say use here? Microsoft Entity Framework Core. Equals. Well, the use statement is coming off of add DB context. Oh no, that's a database context options right there, isn't it? Use a DB context options builder to construct the options. All right. Let DB options equal. Right, new DB context options builder. Spell it right, Jeff. Yep. Ugh. Don't have the syntax. All right, DB options dot use SQLite and connection string, which is con string. Now, why am I getting a green under? Has type DB context options builder and is implicitly ignored. Okay. Or a lambda. So now I want to do this, and I want to pass in DB options. Now, why doesn't it like that? Why does it see it as an int? Oh, I didn't build. No. Never seen much F# before. This looks like it started to swing towards strongly typed Python and Scala, but then MS got their hands on it. Yeah, there's a lot of ignore noise. Yes. But I need to write off the database. So I'm ignoring the crap that comes off of that because I'm executing this method. So what if I'm ignoring what it returns because I'm modifying my options object internally. But I want to pass into DB context options, which, right, this is the context options builder. Right, I thought there was a build or something. It's dot options. Okay, so if I save that, this should still work, and I might actually get a database coming out the other side. Objects supporting iDisposable are created using the syntax new type rather than the type. Okay. So it's suggesting I use really that more C-sharpish, more object-oriented. Okay, so now my thing went away, and value is unused. Okay. See, something called builder, I expect there to be a .build coming out the other side, because this built something. Alright. So now if I inspect DB context, right, there's my stream views object, and this property is the DB set. They're both DB set. Alright, so let's try it. Let's try to make something happen here. So for each row in data rows, do this. So we set the date and we're printing it out. Let new record equal, this is going to be a new data dot stream views, right? That's the name of this type. Okay. So I have measurement time, viewers, new followers, and chatters. Right now, how do I set all those properties? No, it's right. If that's iDisposable, you might replace let with use. Like that. Okay. So let new record, right, new stream views, and then I want to set all the properties on the inside of that object. Is there an ORM here? Yes, FlexGrip. I'm the data object that I'm building here. This is an ORM using Entity Framework Core. I can use that property syntax. Okay. Ugh. Ugh. Measurement time. It doesn't see it. And then that's going to be this date. And we had viewers. And that's going to be row dot viewers. We had new followers equals row dot new followers. And the last one I believe was chatters equals row dot chatters. Now why am I getting a red squiggle on the let? It's unfinished. Every code block is an expression and must have a result. Cannot be the final code element. I know. We're working on it, dude. Alright. So I have the new record. No new on that. Okay, that looks like it works. So I want to add it to my DB context. So if I say DB context dot stream views dot add new record. All right, I got a lot of green here. And is implicitly ignored. Yep, so we've got a pipe to ignore. Now, why does it not like this? The value is not defined. It's right there. So I think we did have to do a new... Well, no, now it doesn't like that. Use parentheses for that. And separate them with commas. Nope, still doesn't like that. And we're going to get a grouchy. Ooh, hang on. Try indenting this token further or using standard formatting conventions. Really? Token is offside of context. The type name doesn't need to be there. The type name? Use the other syntax from above. I'm looking for your syntax. New foo. Prop 1 equals foo. Prop 2 equals bar. Right, I'm creating let new record data.streamViews, and then you're putting colons after those. Oh. Then I don't need this. But I'm still getting a... Right, let new record, colon, data stream views, colon, add, and then it doesn't like. Name type, and this should be equals. No. No assignment given for field ID. Yeah, I know. Nope, still doesn't like it. Field measurement time. It's right there. Dude. Dude. Do these need to be like that? Why doesn't it like this one? But it has nullable int. Oh. Okay, so here's where I've got to do values, right? Because that's nullable. So I think, can I do this? No. Wait, there was, I remember this. This was one of those things. Hang on. I remember we did this. This was in the tutorial. Docs. I'm gonna find this. Don't tell me this. Because when it was none, we had to do something different. Right. Okay, so it was matched. When it was none, we did something. And when it was something, we did something. Use nullable thing. Use... like this? That doesn't work because num followers... I want to set num followers to 0. Right, so... and this isn't working either. Yeah, that's better. You're looking at F# option, but you need a C# nullable. Yeah. Okay. New followers is an int, but the row new followers is a nullable of type int. So I need to pull... Oh, dear Lord. No, not those. Is new followers a nullable int because of EF compat? Yeah, I believe so. Get value or default. Nope. It's nullable because some rows in the database. Yeah, some rows do miss it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I thought I was doing, but... Okay, there we go. Alright, that worked. Now the last thing, after it's done adding all those values outside of the for, is going to be db context dot save changes. Come on, write me a database. Did it write the database? Did it write the database? It's not there. Is it here? Don't see it. Right, and I have to pipe that through ignore. All of these ignores are annoying. See that? Oh, now we broke it. Alright, hang on. An error occurred updating the entry. See the inner exception. No such table stream views. Right, I need to ensure that it's there. So, once we have the DB context, database ensure created. Right, it wants me to pipe through ignore again. I should probably do something with that. Can you ignore the ignores? Ooh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Is there a SQLite browser for... There's got to be a SQLite browser that somebody wrote. No, nobody wrote an extension for SQLite? Oh. That's not how you spell SQLite. Oh, actually, there we go. Give me the Windows exe, because I want to look at this. Time to write a new extension. Oh, thank you for stopping by, Christoph. I appreciate you dropping in. Watching me struggle here today. Thank you. Alright, here we go. Yes, I want that. Sure, install it. Do it. Maybe LinkPad can handle SQLite. I don't have LinkPad installed right now. Run DB browser. Yes, please do. Alright. Open database. Dev. Here. There. Stream views. Alright, so that looks good. Browse table. Look at that. All right, so I have data about folks that were viewing last week's F# Friday. Number of viewers, the number of new followers we gained every 5 minutes. Twitch took a timestamp here. Interesting. Why isn't that? Why is this all out of order here? Like, are you kidding? That's better. But still, why did it read these all out of order? That's right. If we look at the data that we asked it to load, right, it should be doing a for loop, top to bottom, process through these, which means that they should get sequential IDs, but they're different. Right, I mean, let's, just to do a sanity check, let's make sure these match up. So 48.8, 0 new followers, 8 chatters, okay. It's the 25th record at 10:10. 60, that's correct. 1 new follower, there we go. And 12 chatters. So it looks like it's loading the data properly. But why the IDs are out of order? That's interesting. Right? I mean, I did the save changes at the end. And not that I care. I load it as a batch, it does it itself. Okay. If the action throws ignore, don't suppress it. Ignore is just let ignore. So it throws away whatever value. If the value returned was some sort of status that you wanted to check, then yes, you're doing a bad thing. Right now I'm ignoring because I don't care. If I wanted to handle that better, sure, I would not use that. What did I use for saving the ID column, asks Cryptrix. I made it an int. And when I added them, I added all the values with 0. Right? I forced ID to 0 and it just loads. So, right, I could do something like this at the end and say, right, loaded records. And instead I could say DB context, stream views. Now it's going to actually load that again instead of giving me a fresh database. Yeah. Right, so I've got twice as many records there. Delete that. Oh, it's open over here. Right, so now if I force it to reload. Yes, it appended. Cool. So, EF simply has mutating API, so don't need the return value as a new updated state since it updated itself by mutating. Right. And that's pretty cool. So with the functional API, you wouldn't have all the ignores. And if I open, take a look at this again. Yeah. It batch loaded and they're in whatever order it decided to add it. That's weird. Pipe save changes into print fn. Look at that. Look at that. That's a neat idea. Okay. Loaded 27 records. But if you look at the database, right? I'm going to reload the table. Yeah. I do have 54 records in it. So, but very cool, right? I mean, as my first little application here that I'm working on, to work towards this. Xtol, thank you for the follow. As my first little application here, right? I've learned how to save data using Entity Framework. I've learned how to load data from an external data source, use a type provider, this CSV provider, to wrap up, and I love using that and getting these strongly typed column names, right? Coming out of that, that's pretty cool. To have that at design time loaded and available to me as a type that's available there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start wrapping up here. So let's hurry up. That's a little bit loud, Mario. Let's take this little experiment that I did and put it into my GitHub repository. Thank you. I'll create a new repository. No, I don't want to import. I want a new repository. And let's call this F# Learning. A collection of projects, of small projects that I'm building while learning F#. I'll make it public, initialize it with a README, and we will put the Visual Studio git ignore in it, and we will make this MIT so that I have a repository. I will clone this one. Let's git clone, and I'll just move my stuff over there. So let's close Visual Studio Code. And let's grab FS data and just put it into, what did we call this? F# Learning. Where'd it go? There. I still have database open. Try again. And I'm going to delete the database. Let's delete bin and obj. Cool. And git status. Oh no, I've gone so long that I've run out of Mario. Oh, Mario. I thought I just added that. Git add fs data. Cool. Yeah, all right. So git commit. First simple application to load data from a CSV. Cool. And now I should be able to do a git push origin master. Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm not checking if the data rows have already been loaded. That would be a good next step, but I am out of time here. It is 12:30. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining me. Wow, that's loud. All right already. Wow. Let's keep going on this. As a first step, as a first learning, I've learned how to write stuff now using Entity Framework into a database. When we get to that, oh, Christoph, thanks so much for following. And this is the first step of several pieces that I'm learning and I'm going to put together as part of this larger webhook refresh. So I know how to do the update data store here. So we know how to hook up a webhook. Next time, I think we'll work on parsing the notification that comes out of the GitHub webhook into an appropriate it looks like an appropriate record type. There might be a type provider there that we can use to parse that webhook, and then we can pass that information into the next one. Right? I'm already seeing the piping here. Right? We're gonna parse the information from GitHub using a type provider, pipe it into this for loop that I wrote to load the data store, and then we're going to do some sort of a method to notify SignalR at the end. This is becoming less intimidating now as I think about it with F#, and we've gone through these couple of learning steps. Very cool stuff. Yeah, Zox man, we're learning F#. We're taking our time. It's a step, for a first application that I wrote, a little console application. I'm happy with myself that I can load data into a database. I'm using SQLite because it's free, easy, and just little thing there on disk. Don't have to think too much about it. And I think we've really learned something. I've really learned something. So, simple progress so far. Thanks so much, Chusk, for all your help today. That was very helpful. And Fubarius and some of the other folks here that chimed in, I really appreciate you helping out. So we want to do a raid. Now, I don't know how many of you know Twitch parlance, but on Twitch... All right, Fubarius.
F# Friday is best Friday. Oh.
Yes, I agree. It's a great Friday. I enjoy taking time here and learning with you on stream. So on Twitch, there's a nice thing to do. It's a polite thing to do called doing a raid, right? And if you've played games, role-playing games, perhaps like World of Warcraft, League of Legends, you do a raid, everybody gangs up and we're going to go plunder the next thing, the next dungeon, the next boss, the next enemy. And in Twitch parlance, raiding is we're going to go and everybody's going to go check in on the next developer, the next stream. So what I'd like to do here today, and Fubarius, I'm going to match that cheer and we're going to donate it to our friends at Girl Develop It. What I'm going to do is I think we're going to raid... I like what Code Artistic Ninja is doing over here. It looks like TypeScript and WebAssembly, and he's only got one viewer right now. So I think we should raid Code Artistic Ninja. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here into the chat room, and if you want to hang out and you want to check out what Code Artistic Ninja is doing, that's great. We'll pass everybody along. You can check that out. You're going to get a prompt there if you want to hang out. But thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in with me today. Thank you, Handsome Rob, for the follow. We'll see you over on Code Artistic Ninja. All right. Take care.